People don't like Brian Kemp because they said he was actively engaging in voter suppression.
Georgia's had over 140 years of Democratic governors, right? The system that allowed for him to cheat, if you believe he cheated, has been in place 140 years. I would argue that system robbed Andy Young of being the first black governor. So my question becomes, do I waste the next 4 to 8 years while he's governor complaining, or do I engage in my current governor and then attempt to change that system? Systemic racism is what you're trying to fix and change, right? So systemic cheating in politics is so I would encourage Georgians, because this is all that really matters in terms of governorship. I would encourage Georgians to engage their governor, because he is the governor. That you ain't like you're going to unseat him, to engage him with the thoughts and concerns of your community and the greater community. And then I would say, see how you can change the system that the Secretary of State does not oversee if you're really passionate about that. But if you're only mad about the last election and you ignore the fact that there's a 140-year system that allowed for this, then you're not doing the credit that you think you're doing in terms of making sure it never happens again, if you believe that's happened. Right now, I have the governor I have, and I have thoughts and missions on what I can improve my community, and that's what I'll do. And lastly, I'd like to say about that, John F. Kennedy, who's on everybody's grandmother wall, we looked at him as a progressive Democrat, was not in favor of signing the Civil Rights Bill. Lyndon Baines Johnson was a confirmed Dixiecrat.
That's right.
Right? We knew what he was. He didn't care much for you if you wasn't working for him. He is the person that signed the bill because the pressure from the African-American community made him do that.
And he was so racist that he actually called it the nigger bill. But he still passed it. He still passed it.
Hey, long as you pass the bill, you can call this shit whatever you want to. Just give me a fair opportunity to compete in the working place so I can get banked up like DJ Envy and take care of my next 2-3 generations.
There you go. That's what we all got to do.
You brought up Lyndon B. Johnson, and I keep saying that if, people say, they like to say, oh, Barack Obama was JFK. If Barack was JFK, then Joe Biden potentially has the opportunity to be a Lyndon B. Johnson. Do you see that?
Before we get to Biden, let's say our current president, Trump, have read his platinum package. My question to the Democrats is, why haven't you countered that? Because there were some things on there were pretty impressive. When you talk about adding 3 million jobs to the African-American community, financial support of 500,000 black businesses, and potentially what does he say, $500 million? $500 billion as an injection into our economy, that's powerful. And what I'd like to say is, coming out of the street background in urban radio, many of us have known street people, right? Street people get over their prejudices real easy when it's a drought and somebody got the lowest price.
Goddamn right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So whatever issues you may have, let me just encourage all black people to read that platinum package, not in saying vote for Trump, but your expectations should be better. And I like the fact that you are dealing with a casino owner. I don't gamble. Yet when we go to Vegas, our room be damn near free. We get free drinks because my wife is a gambler. So the casino owner has an interest in keeping her happy. I don't know if Trump likes black people. I don't care if Trump likes black people. If his package helps my community, my question to the Democrats become, why aren't we stealing points off that package, making that package a part of your program that specifically says black people? It doesn't say disenfranchised. It doesn't say minority. It doesn't say women. It says black people.
Right.
So until we start to address why our allies are pivoting into us by black people, we have to say to ourselves, we don't know who's going to be. 17% of men voted for Kemp in Georgia. Black men. People said, well, why is that? I remember talking to Abrams and talking to other Democrats saying, you guys making assault rifles and immigration, your plan scares the shit out of black Southern men. Well, why did it scare the shit out of black Southern men, Michael? Well, outside of the city is Georgia. And black people who live in Georgia are never going to de-arm. Black men in the deep South are not going to de-arm because they know what their grandfathers and grandmothers endured. They know what their great-grandparents endured. So if there isn't a regional Democratic plan, we're going to see traditional Democrats lose, and we're going to see progressive Democrats win. So if you look at the 6th commission in DeKalb County, Mayor Ted is not just a Democrat. He's a Bernie-crat. He's a far more progressive than anybody who was running. He won. But traditional Democrats are having a hard time winning because in the South, when you start talking about things like immigration, Black people start getting afraid that skilled labor or low-paying jobs that they usually would get are going to be taken from people who are imported in. So I want to just challenge the Democratic Party nationally to do some thinking about the nuance of Southern campaigning, because I believe that if you develop a Southern strategy, you'd have a greater chance of winning elections as a traditional Democrat versus either Republicans winning or totally progressive people.
Yeah, I had some conversations with some Republicans about the platinum plan, and what I told them is Donald Trump's the president. He don't got to make policy commitments. If he really wants to get some shit done, he can do it.
Yeah, he could. With that said, though, I have never in my lifetime seen any president so gratuitously say, "I'll give you this for Black people." And I remember presidents back to Jimmy Carter. I have never seen a president say, "This is what I will do for Black people." And again, you're not dealing with a president or a career politician. You're dealing with a casino owner. Right. Casino owners do not have a problem figuring it out if it's going to be for their greater good. So I would just encourage Black people to be totally selfish about your vote when you go in that booth. Doesn't matter to me who, and I want to tell people that bigger than your presidential race is who is running locally. Your local elections matter far more than your national elections on a day-to-day basis. On a local level, let me give you this example. We had a Black prosecutor in Atlanta for 24 years by the name of Paul Howard. People were definitely afraid of Paul because he wasn't giving you no slack on your sentencing. One of my brothers got life in sentence. Another brother got life. I say one probably deserved it. One probably didn't. You know what I mean? So he didn't play. There's a young woman who worked in his office who helped start a program that's an alternative to prison called Next Level Boys Academy. They always need donations. Y'all look them up and y'all check them out. Gary Davis. Next Level has saved many young men from long prison sentences because that people on the ground wanted to see a more progressive district attorney. She just won district attorney in Atlanta. Right. So we're going to have, hopefully for the next 20, 24 years, restorative justice, an alternative to prisons. And we'll be able to keep young Black men home. We'll be able to put some of those Black men in trade schools. Those Black men will grow up to be stable husbands and fathers, which will help stabilize our community. This is the importance of local elections. So local, down that ticket, past whoever, and listen to Tesman Figaro. I want y'all to Figaro. Y'all right. Listen to Tesman's show. Tez gives it raw. So you watch CNN and Fox and they make it all cute. She talks to your ass like you talking about two rival gangs. So I want to support her Straight No Chaser show. It's an amazing show, and I want the average everyday working class person to give her your ear because she breaks it down in very simple terms. And one of the things she's already told you is you might as well at this point let what happens in terms of that national election, but down that ticket. Who's going to be your prosecutor? Who's going to be your judge? Who's going to be your sheriff? Who's going to be your mayor? Who's on the school board? Those things affect you on a daily basis far more than any president. So I want you to educate yourself on the ground. In Atlanta, we were able to not only get Fonnie Willis as a DA in Fulton County, we were also able to get a Bernie Crat in one of the largest commission seats in DeKalb County by the name of Mayor Ted. He was formerly a mayor, passed marijuana decriminalization years before Atlanta, was actually more progressive than any metro area around him, and has managed to help everyone else push forward. So Ted, I'm looking forward to being in that seat 20 years or more and making radical change in DeKalb County, which is one of the largest and richest counties for Black people in the state of Georgia.
Your focus is always on local politics, but what do you think about the presidential election? Are you participating in the process?
I have to be. I'm waiting on the Democrats to counter the platinum plan because regardless of how I feel about you personally, if your plan helps my community, it starts to make sense. And what I've been seeing in that plan is some stuff that will radically change our interaction with government. So I encourage Black people to read it before we talk about some of the other stuff. I just don't give a damn if you like me or not. I don't give a damn if you're racist. I give a damn, can we get some business done? My grandfather would say to me, he was like, I have white friends at work, and we the best of friends. And I don't invite them to my Christmas party, and I ask they don't invite me to theirs. Because he understood that the community we lived in, and Google it, it's called the Collier Heights. It was gentrified by Black people, for Black people, and it depended on us. And that way, because that community was strong, that community was able to help get people like Mayor Andrew Young elected. I would like to see Black people repopulate that community, secure the West Side, and make sure you always have an economic and political enclave to lean to. So for me, on a very local level, nationally, whoever I feel may help me the best locally is the person that's going to get my vote. And I want to encourage Black people, when you go in that booth, have no guilt about whoever you vote about. Vote for your gut and who you think is going to best help you and your community on an individual basis. And then take that vigor out of the voting booth and call your local politicians accountable for what they promise they're going to do, because no politics matters like local politics. I talked to Senator Harris, and I appreciate her conversation. She had a bunch of black men, yourself included, and she honestly took the advice back to the party. But one of the things I told her, I said, to be very honest with you, I think it's as simple in terms of black men and the children of men who serve inappropriate amounts of time in prison for nonviolent drug offenses. I think that it do Biden good to look at a camera and say, I apologize.
That's right.
I was mistaken.
Right.
There's nothing like, Southerners are very forgiving people. Once you admit your fuck up,
That's right.
It's important that you just say, I fucked up. And Southern men deserve that. All men across the nation who got hit with those exorbitant jail sentences. But in particular, if you want to take the South, I just encourage the Democrats to make amends with men. Like right now, I saw Roland Martin put out a tweet in the last couple of days that Torian Walker co-signed, saying, that the Democrats had better start talking to black men. We've been telling Democrats that for 6 years.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Black women give 96 to 98% of their vote. Black men give 90 to 94% of their vote. So the fact that you ignore that is a disrespect and insult within itself. So I would encourage people. I'd encourage people on the Democratic side, who are many of my friends and family, to start to create an agenda that deals with educating black boys, and what I believe in particular should be trades, so you will have young men that are fit to marry, that are fit to take your daughters and build their first, second, third generation of wealth. And if we're not doing that as a Democratic Party, I say we, because in Georgia, I'm still registered as a Democrat. If we are not doing that, we're doing our party a disservice. We're doing the community that we lean on for over 90% of their votes a disservice. And ultimately, we're doing the state a disservice.